16-member delegation from the opposition party met the Election Commission just a short while back on concerns that the announcement of the budget before the elections does not provide a level playing field. CNBC TV 18 Shireen Ban spoke with Mr. Krishnamurthy, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, and began by asking him his views on the same. Let's hear him out.
As far as the model code of conduct is concerned, certainly it says that there should be a level playing field, but it doesn't mean that the central government can be non-functional during this period. All that I would say is that while the budget could be presented, they should not announce any specific scheme for those in respect of states for which the elections are going. If it is an all-India matter and if it is well within the jurisdiction of the union government, as per the constitution, they have only to ensure that they do not present any specific schemes in respect of the states in respect of which the elections are to be held. So I hope it has to be understood, because we had in earlier instances allowed the budget to be made provided it is doesn't have any specific appeal to the voters in these states.
But if I may interrupt you, sir, there's a fine line there, and the argument that's being presented by opposition parties is that, yes, the announcements that you make may impact voters across India. But for instance, if there are agricultural SOPs that are provided, then you have crucial states like Uttar Pradesh and Punjab going to the polls. These are largely agri-dominated sectors, so while it may not specifically be for UP or Punjab, it could stand to influence voters there.
In fact, it is a very fine balance one has to strike, and I suppose Election Commission and the government can have some kind of a dialogue on this as to ensure up to what limit they can go in the budget. And after all, the election is to be held from 4th onwards. Whether some of these things need to be deferred till 4th, I do not know. But then, as far as I am concerned, the central government has its own jurisdiction, and so long as it ensures that the fine line is maintained between the state powers and the central powers, and that it does not appeal to a specific set of voters, it should be possible. You can't make it totally non-functional.
That's a valid point that you make, that you cannot make government non-functional. But there is a past precedent, sir. Now, the Election Commission seems to suggest that it is still going to address the query that's been raised by opposition parties. The government seems to suggest that 1st of April has been decided. There is a finality as far as the budget date itself is concerned. But there is a past precedent where the budget was, in fact, pushed to March on account of elections. So if we're talking about past precedents, what will the Election Commission look at?
I do agree with you. That's why I said there must be a dialogue between the Election Commission and the central government to ensure that there is a proper understanding on this so as to ensure that they do not violate the model code of conduct. So they may not go into the individual specific proposals of the budget, but they can certainly draw the broad guideline within which the central government can operate as far as the presentation of budget is concerned.
My final question to you, sir,
after all, the result is going to be announced by March 14. I think after March,
that's right,
some of these things could be even taken after March 11th. So they have to draw a nice balance between these two, and I do hope that the government and the Election Commission will have a proper dialogue and arrive at that Lakshman Rekha in this regard.